What's going on, fam? We are back with some Dead by Daylight. We are going over Binding of Kin chapter. We are now looking at the survivor Elodie Rakoto. All right, let's go ahead and check her out and see what is going on with her perks here. Perks. Let's see. So she, difficult, intermediate. Perks are appraisable teachable Elodie Rakoto perk. Unlocking this perk makes it available in the blood web of all survivors. You have a careful eye that notices what many overlook. Start the trial with 3 tokens. When a chest has already been opened, consume a token to rummage through it for an item. Rummaging can only be performed once per chest. You rummage through chests 40% faster. May be unlocked in the blood web of Elodie Rakoto from level 30 plus or in the Shrine of Secrets. Deception, teachable Elodie Rakoto perk. Unlocking this perk makes it available in the blood web of all survivors. Your adventurous lifestyle requires moments of crafty misdirection. Interacting with a locker while sprinting will trigger a loud noise at your location and cause you to leave no scratch marks for 3 seconds. You no longer enter lockers while sprinting and while this perk is active. Deception can only be triggered once every 60 seconds. May be unlocked in the blood web of Elodie Rakoto from 11 level 35 plus or in the Shrine of Secrets. Power struggle. That was a struggle bus back there, pronouncing level. Power struggle, teachable Elodie Rakoto perk. Unlocking this perk makes it available in the blood web of all survivors. You've never given up in your own, and you're not about to start now. While being carried by the killer, reaching 35% wiggle progress activates power struggle. While power struggle is active, you can drop a nearby standing pallet to stun the killer. I like that. Power struggle. That's nice. I relied on others to protect me once and I lost everything. Never again. Elodie Rakoto. May be unlocked in blood web of Elodie Rakoto from level 40 plus or in the Shrine of Secrets. Okay, let's see. What was this one? Okay, that one didn't have a quote. All right. On to the backstory of Elodie Rakoto for a Binding of Kin chapter. Born into a lush Parisian household, Elodie Rakoto grew up in a comfortable home miles away from the verdant island of Madagascar, her parents' birthplace. Her backpack was always heavy and usually contained no schoolwork. She carried the essentials: a few history books, some printed maps, and a compact shovel. Instead of wasting away with the regurgitated facts from her classes, she explored the city to discover the stories behind each statue, neighborhood, and street sign. She collected bits of pieces of Paris, making it her own. When she was 14, her parents took her to Dyer Island for a business trip. To her grand disappointment, the island was a private site for her exclusive members of the Imperiati. She was forced to attend pretentious and awkward social mixers daily. After a few weeks on the island, she met the pariahs, like-minded teenagers who had no interest in being pawns to their parents' political chessboard. On dull, rainy nights, she would convince them to sneak out and explore the island unsupervised. One foggy evening, they stumbled upon an abandoned internment camp. Felix, one of the pariahs, didn't want to go in, but Elodie insisted. Inside, they found a strange underground laboratory in ruins. The pariahs grew excited, browsing through the strange apparatus for trophies and mementos. But Elodie noticed something in the far left corner of the wall. Odd scratches in the shape of a circle. She ran her fingernails against the cool concrete. The marks were deep and narrow. A warm whisper suddenly sent her mind adrift. A deep rumbling thunder, black glistening waves, an ashen sanded beach, incomplete. She was compelled to touch the ice-cold sand and draw a circle with a line in the middle. A sharp thunderclap and lightning whipped the sky. The ground shook as sleek obsidian claws tore through the concrete floor, ripping the earth open. The building began to collapse, and Elodie spotted her mother wielding a bizarre instrument while her father told her to run. Then, complete darkness. Elodie never saw her parents again. For years, this nightmare woke in the middle of the night, cold, sweating, shaking like a leaf. As a child, she suffered from night terrors and often resisted going to bed. To soothe her mind, her grandma would light a tea candle and tell her stories until the wick extinguished in a hot pool of liquefied wax. The perfume of the warm vanilla-scented wax would lull Elodie to sleep as she envisioned stories of legendary heroes defeating fear and foes. Elodie had forgotten the stories, but she still remembered her longing for the verdant Malagasy rainforest and colossal mountains that her grandmother described. When Elodie felt cold and numb with grief, she would light a vanilla-scented candle and summon her childhood memories of the distant, idyllic place, raising her spirits to rise above her crippling depression. 14 years later, Elodie still searched for the missing pieces of the puzzle. No rational explanation could explain her parents' disappearance, so she'd been looking elsewhere. She researched any and all legends that mentioned a dark force that snatched people at night without a trace. From there, she translated old tales and built a tapestry of narratives from around the world that corroborated the uncanny way her parents had vanished on Dyer's Island. She also gathered artifacts made by ancient civilizations who sought to destroy or resurrect the incomprehensible and indescribable thing that took her parents. There were various names for it, differing from one language to the next: the abyss, the infinite, the whole. Her findings pushed her further into the dark field of occultism. The pariahs were long gone. She'd alienated them with her theories, but she refused to give up on her parents. Elodie had set out into the cold, misty evening. She turned a corner, leaving Paris' 13th arrondissement, an eccentric neighborhood with a substantial library dating from the Middle Ages. She had pressing work to do for Hazra Shah, the collector and occult specialist who archived rare artifacts. He'd recruited her after she had salvaged a rare stolen Maori statue of spidery fangs like the claws she had seen on Dyer's Island. For the next 5 years, Elodie had been procuring occult relics for the collector. In exchange, he provided large sums of money, equipment, and precise information about obscure manuscripts. Just as the collector requested, he had secured the annals of a witch trial convicting a mother birthing conjoined twins in the 17th century. According to a legend, an occult incantation was engraved on a set of skulls, of which the collector possessed except one, the witch's skull. There were no traces of where the skull was now, but Elodie had found a newspaper article dating back to the same year mentioning that most remains and had been relocated to the catacombs to avoid a pandemic. Elodie was acting on a hunch. Breaking into the catacombs to retrieve a lost skull involved certain risk, but no more than the previous work she'd done for the collector. With a flashlight, she followed the ancient layout of the catacombs and spotted a collapsed wall. A few large stones blocked the way in. She grabbed her portable XRF analyzer and scanned the materials on the wall. Working for the collector had its perks. The brick mortar had been poorly mixed, showing high traces of sand. The whole thing was brittle around, and the ground was moist from the damp evening air. This was her way in. The journey beneath was long and treacherous. The air was heavy and moldy. She gasped when her keychain flashlight hit an endless wall of bleached white skulls. Something cracked behind her. She spun around and collided headfirst with a baseball bat. Pain exploded in her skull and darkness filled her view. When she came to, a man was carrying her over his shoulder. Venturing deeper inside the catacombs, he was wearing a dark robe, a black veil. She managed to elude them until now, ruthless and lethal. They went by many names. She'd figured out that they ultimately all worked for the same group, a ring of occult fanatics rumored to perform human sacrifices for what they called the Old One. She had to get out of here fast. Elodie spotted a skull on the wall, grabbed it, and smashed it on her assailant's head. Stunned, the man lost his balance, and Elodie hit the ground running. As she turned a corner, she suddenly felt a sharp pain to her side. She looked down and saw a large blade planted there. Shocked, she removed the knife and warm blood spurted out. Her heartbeat rang in her ears and her vision blurred. She fell to her knees, summoning all her strength. She drew a circle on the ground, shaking blood-red finger, and traced the line in the middle. An opaque heaviness fell over her shoulders. A familiar scent of vanilla-spiked fruits and lachey nuts coated the air. Thin tropical rain drizzled down leafy vines. Warmth. Madagascar. A ghostly cry erupted from the thick foliage. Elodie looked up and the vines turned into hissing snakes. The soft canopy soil suddenly turned ashen and collapsed under her feet. She sank into something dense and cold that swallowed her like quicksand. She screamed before being smothered by the abyss, the infinite, the whole. She found what she had been searching for. And that, bam, is Elodie Rakoto. Great survivor. As you can see, I haven't played her much yet. We will in the future. If you want to see more, if you want to see live gameplay of Dead by Daylight, be sure to come over on Twitch. The link is in the description. So again, if you want to see more of these, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And we shall see you in the next part or VOD. Until then, stay safe out there, and much love to you, fam. Peace.